Hi everyone, this is Zariya here. I'm still sick and it's so bloody annoying. It's just so irritating. But I'm showing up for you, I care for you, and I want to be able to support you the best I can. I'm going to have lozenges all the way through it because otherwise I'm going to be coughing and spluttering all over you. So I've got some questions that people have asked. If you are in the Tame the Triggers workshop, you you'll see the link above the workshop. You see, my brain is just fried because of being sick. You'll see the link in the above this video. I can see it there, and you can still ask while I'm live any anonymous questions you like. And those of you who want to be able to get access to all the workshop, we still have 1 week together, and I would love to be able to you're able to catch up the videos, and you can see the link to join us there. All right, lovely people. So the first thing that I want to share, being sick myself and somebody else was sharing, they haven't been able to do a lot of the workshop because they're sick. I have been able to do less in the workshop than I would normally like to because I'm sick. Normally I like to respond hi everyone to every single question or every single comment, and I haven't been able to do that. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to catch up, but my energy is just so low, and I want to share what I'm doing so that I'm not getting triggered by everything. Like, I'm not shouting at my kids, or I'm not feeling frustrated with folk in the workshop. I'm just really being kind to myself, and I'll tell you what I'm doing is I'm going to bed early. I cut down to the minimum. Like, I'm showing up when I say I'm going to show up. That's what I can do. And then I'm allowing things to just get messy, and I'm not getting bothered by it, because I know that right now my energy is so low and I just need to take care of me. So when you were depleted, I was working with a client this week who was frustrated with herself, thinking she's not being a good enough mother because she was sick this week, and the bare minimum she could give her children was just food. She was not being very empathetic. She was not being engaging or playful. And I want you to just remember the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you are sick, you're completely depleted. And if you are just meeting the basic needs of, they're safe and they're getting food, you're meeting the basic requirements. And you can let them know, sweetheart, right now I just have got no more to give because I'm sick. When I'm better, things will change. And then when you're better, you're able to apologize and say, I'm so sorry, I couldn't do this. Like, when I remember when I had extreme PTSD, that was about 10 years ago, and I was having hallucinations, I was suicidal, I had numbing out and disassociating for hours at a time, and I was getting really angry a lot. And I spoke to my attachment therapy trainer and therapist at the time and said, I just feel like such a shit mom. And he said, do you beat your children like your mother used to do to you? No. Are you putting them in unsafe situations where they're being sexually abused like you were? No. Okay, so you have improved drastically in breaking the cycle from what your parents did. And right now, once you've got helpful PTSD, things will shift and you won't be having that. And he was so right. I did specific therapy for PTSD, EMDR. Though what I found is that the sort of flashbacks shifted, but I still didn't have the skills to love. And attachment therapy gave me that. And that's what the Overcome Emotional Abuse program is the skills to love, processing, secure attachment that we didn't get in childhood. So, and then I could shift. Now I don't beat my kids. Shouting hardly ever happens here. We work through issues, resolve things. We have such a great connection that it's just so understanding and loving. Yesterday was my son's birthday. I couldn't do anything for it. Normally I make them a beautiful breakfast. The day before I said, just go in the shop and get a frozen pastry and I'll put it out for you tonight. I did that. He woke up, he cooked it himself. We went to a farm on the way home. And, you know, he just bought some sausages and cooked them himself. And then I got a takeaway. And I literally just lay on the sofa as he was on his phone. That's all I could give. And he was like, Mom, you're sick. I know you love me. Today he was off doing his first driving lesson. And I just saw him in the car and waved. But, you know, I just accept that at this time, that's all I can give. And so there's so much empathy and understanding. But you think that was like 9 years ago that I had huge PTSD. And it took maybe 2 or 3 years to recover. But also because I didn't have consistent therapy. I live in the UK, and so NHS would give like 6 to 12 sessions, and then you have to reapply. And then after the second round, they said, oh no, you recovered enough. We can't give it to you on the NHS anymore. So I found another therapist, and that didn't work out as well. But by that stage, I didn't have severe PTSD, but I lacked the skills because I hadn't had that in childhood. So this program is what I'd learned over time of developing those skills for myself. So Pat, you said something. Can you please tell me something from my parents? Are you saying me being psychic? Oh, Pat, if something comes to me, hold on, let me just see if something does. I've never really done psychic work. I'm not trained in psychic work. It just happens when I'm in a therapy session with somebody that I hear something. The words that I'm hearing is that you need to be on a different path. I don't know what that means. And the energy that I'm feeling as I tune into you, Pat, is something very strong that of like, there's something that you've been wanting to change direction, and you really need to change direction in that. And I just feel like the strong energy that is there. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but you know, I'm not trained in psychic energy, but I just have that sometimes comes to me when I'm in a session with somebody. All right. So there's some more questions for those of you who are in the Tame the Triggers workshop. Pat, I'm just hearing something else, that what I'm hearing is your parents care for you a lot, and they really want what's best for you, and they feel that there's something in your life that really needs to shift, that you are on the wrong path and you need to come right into alignment with your purpose and where you need to be. Yeah, I'm not too sure what that means for you. All right. So let me carry on. The first question that I have today is the bids for love. What do you do if you've asked for quiet time, like you want to read or watch a video, and somebody else is saying, keeps making bids like, look here, look at this bird, look at this. The person says, my husband does this, and also often tells me bluntly if I'm talking about a topic he's not interested in. He's autistic. So how do I assert boundaries without being destructive? So there are two things in that. Firstly, it's really hard for somebody autistic to listen to something that they're not interested in. And I'll just explain it to you in terms of their neurons in their brain. So when a neuron is born or developed, it has dendrites that come off it. Say this is the neuron, and there are different dendrites that come off it. There are lots of dendrites that come off somebody who's neurotypical's brain. But in an autistic brain, there's like one major dendrite that comes off the neuron. So the great thing about this is it gives autistic people the capacity to go deep and in focus about one topic, one thing deeply. The struggle is they don't have this multitude of interests or capacities, so it's just really focused. So when other people are talking about something that's not interested, they can't feign an interest. And, you know, my son is like this, of just going, he just blanks out, he's just not interested. And what I've helped him to know is that he might not be interested in what I'm talking about, but he has care for me. So even if he's not interested in the subject, he can still show me that he cares. And that's helped him to show a little bit of interest in me. So he might come home and go, "How's your business?" And it's like, okay, that sounds really weird. Just out of the blue as he walks in the door, "Hi, Mom, how's your business?" I'm just like, okay, he's trying to be interested. But it helps to understand that it's not being done on purpose. It's not deliberate. It's just how the brain functions. So that's that side of it, of understanding that lack of interest. Sometimes if you're talking to somebody autistic, you need to figure out what the access point is into something that is into what interests them. Now, the other side of your question, and what I've learned also in terms of that, of not sharing it, I just don't share things that are not interesting to folk who are autistic. Like, I've got a few friends who are autistic, and I get to see what their interests are, and I won't share with them something that isn't in their interest, because otherwise I'm going to get rejected. So I'm just not going to set them up in that way, and I'm not going to set myself up to be rejected. I'm going to share with those who are interested. Like, I have one guy who is just an incredible creator, and he has no interest in my feelings or my life, but he has huge interest in my kids. He is just an incredible creative guy. And so my son and him have conversations about creative stuff. And if ever and he will write to me about his kids, and I will write back. We deeply care about each other's kids, but for whatever reason, he doesn't care as hugely or as interested in my life. And I just accept that, because he's such a fascinating human being, and he does have such love and care for my children. Then I just know that sharing about myself, I'm just going to get rejected. So I'll share to other people, or he'll just ignore it. But I share about my kids, he'll respond, and he'll be really interested and loving. So I share with other people about myself, but to him I'll share with my kids, to him about my kids. All right. So what about when you are needing to renew? What I would do is do a problem-solving thing with your husband, where you say, "Hey, I've got an issue, and I wonder if you can help me resolve it. I know that I want to be a great partner, and I need time to renew. And I also want you to be loved and feel loved, like I do too. And when I'm wanting to read or watch a video, it's hard when I get distracted with other things. So wonder what we can do to put in place boundaries around when I'm reading or watching a video, so that you will still know that you're loved and I will get renewed. What ideas do you have? And it might be things like my son will walk in the room. He likes to just show me memes that he's finding on the internet. But if I am like writing a post or responding to somebody, or like writing an outline for a book or something, and I've got lots of ideas, it takes me a lot to get in the flow. And then if he interrupts, it takes me ages to get back into the flow. So he walks in and he stands in front of the computer, and we just have a gesture where I just go, no, and he's like, I'll come back later, and I'll go and carry on working, and I won't even look up. But we've created that together, and he knows that it's not any rejection of him. I'm very present to him. I care for him deeply, and I will drop everything if there's something urgent. But if it's just, hey mom, look at this funny meme, it's not worth interrupting my flow. So he knows that if it's something urgent, absolutely interrupt. If it's not urgent, don't. But we've discussed that of, I want you to always feel loved. I love that you come down to show me something. If I'm able to, I want to respond to you. If I'm not, then I would love, I'll let you know. And that's what we've dialogued. So maybe there's a gesture that you can come up with that he knows right now, this is time that matters to you, and you love him and you care for him. And that's, right now isn't the time, because you need to fill up with love so you've got more love to give. And it's also okay to set boundaries and go, hey babe, I'm just watching this. I'll connect with you in half an hour. And then do connect in half an hour. And that he needs to honor that. When I was with one guy years ago, he just didn't have the capacity to tell me that he loved me. And when I reached to him for love and he was ignoring me, we created a gesture that was me telling him, right now I don't feel loved. And all it was, I have no idea how we came up with this gesture, because it's totally fucking weird. But it was just the sound of a horse. So I could make a gesture like that, or I could go, nay, or I could go cloppity clop on the, like if I was walking next to him. And then he would do that back, just letting me know that he loved me. It was something so simple, but it would crack me up, make me laugh, and it would just clear the air and the energy where I knew that I was loved and adored and it was going to be okay. So that really, really helped. Many of the clients that I've worked with, even in relationships with abusive family members who didn't realize they were abusive because that's just what they were seeped in, and then they repeated when the kids confronted them and said, this is abuse, and they were like, what? That's just what I had. I didn't know that was abuse. I don't want to be abusive. But that patterning was so strong, so they created gestures or words like, check the clouds today, and then the parent would realize, oh, that was a critical, rude comment, and they would go, oh, sorry about that. So it would just take the reminder of that to shift into healthy relating. But I would sit down with your partner and go, hey, is this a good time to talk? So when you're wanting to talk to somebody about an issue, you want to make sure that they're accessible. So it's not when they're busy with their interests doing something and going, I've got to talk about this now. No, you want to make sure they're accessible. Then 2, you want to engage about it without blaming them and making them wrong or making yourself wrong. You want to own it. I've got this issue and I'd like support with you with resolving this with you. So it's a relationship dynamic that we want support with. And then you want to work through it and go, okay, this is the thing and I don't know how to resolve it. How can we do this differently so we both feel loved? The mission is we both want to feel loved in this. You come up with some ideas, you discuss which you think you're going to work and try, and then you say, well, let's try these out, and then come back in a week and test out. Are we both feeling loved and met in this? You want to be responsive to each other, and then you want to show gratitude in receiving the other person's input and their attempts to try. So if you agree with, in that example with your husband, isn't going to, he walks in, he sees you watching a video, he pauses, he acknowledges it and walks out. Then you can say, hey, I noticed that you came in while I was watching and you stopped and you walked out. I know that's not easy for you, and I'm just really grateful that you honored me. Thank you. So you want to grow the levels of appreciation for somebody trying. So if they do it, they're 3 times, and once they stop themselves, you can focus on that a lot more than you focus on the times that they didn't get it right. So that the gratitude is like 5 times more for when they've got it right. And then just a note of, that was hard. What happened for you there that where you couldn't do it? So you can explore that together and find solutions and really meet each other from a place of empathy, curiosity, remembering what we said in that one video of place, playful, loving, accepting, curious, and empathetic, which is Dan Hughes's acronym. All right, so I hope that helps you with your husband, and I'm curious to hear how that goes. So the next question says, can you tell me more about the Overcome Emotional Abuse program? I'm very much in need of help other than my current therapy, as I feel I'm not getting anywhere and going around in circles. I'm feeling really emotionally wrecked today. I'm so sorry that you're feeling emotionally wrecked. It's so hard. What is great about the Overcome Emotional Abuse program is that there are people from all around the world who are in the program, and when you're feeling wrecked, you can share, you can get guidance on what videos to watch that might help you. And so it's really helpful between therapy sessions. A lot of people in the program have external therapy. Some people see me for a therapist. Some people don't have another therapist and they just do the program. There's no insistence. But what it gives you is support between therapy sessions, which is fabulous. I'm going to be sharing more on Monday when we do the self-healing masterclass, and I'll go through everything that's in the program then. I just want to serve everybody in this workshop now, fully and deeply, and before I start sharing about that, so that everybody in this workshop feels honored. But I know that the program just makes such a difference in giving people community as they're going through self-healing. So I so look forward to sharing more about that with you on Monday. So come along to the Healing Journey Masterclass, and I'll share it with you then, so that you can you can get support and really see if it's for you or not. We'd love you with us. Okay. Hold on, I just have to go back to see if there was something I missed on that. Yeah, so anybody can do it, whether you are doing therapy or not. And what one person has done is that every week of the program, they would take what they're doing in the program to their therapist and get individual support. And then some people sign up for therapy as well with me to get deeper support, and that you're welcome to do that. Okay. So then, next question. When you're realizing that the environment that you've been bringing your children up has been toxic, you and your partner have not been the best to each other, and so there are layers of resentment and fear, you trigger each other. Do you go for couples therapy and try to salvage? Or for the sake of everybody's sanity, call it a day? I hope my coughing is not going to start. So the ideal would be that you both work. Sometimes if you both have had abuse, it might be worth doing individual and couples therapy. But if there is still love for each other, I would recommend doing therapy that helps also to teach you the skills to loving and helps resolve the deep pains. And the one therapy that I've used with couples, just so you know, I know you can't catch this over, but I have done a COVID test. This isn't COVID, thankfully. But the one type of therapy that really works with couples for resolving pains that you've created along the way and creating better habits of secure attachment and relating healthily is emotionally focused therapy by Sue Johnson. And they're emotionally focused therapists all around the world. I've done bits of it, though I'm not trained in it, but I've done a lot of reading. And it's really helpful in working through the layers of resentment and the fears. And if there is fear in the relationship, it tends to be because there's some levels of abuse going on. And in some cases, they say that therapy is not worth doing, that you first whoever is the abusive partner needs to do individual work to work through the abuse so that they break the cycles, because otherwise the therapy isn't safe, because they can use what's been said in the therapy against each other outside of the sessions. So they recommend that if there is abuse, the abusive partner gets individual therapy to break the cycles, and then they do couples therapy together to heal the wounds once they feel those abusive patterns have been healed and the cycle's broken. In the ideal world, it would be beautiful if you are able to do couples therapy and salvage what is there and grow love together. But it's not hard, it's not easy, but in comparison to what divorce costs in terms of split families, and if you're able to invest in therapy, it might take like a year or two with couples therapy, with a good couples therapy, doing emotionally focused therapy plus individual therapy, which would be cheaper than what divorce costs. So I would recommend that you can try that. But even if you do couples therapy and you decide to get divorced, you will still have a better relationship and co-parenting than you would if you didn't, because there will still be the triggers, but there won't be any love or connection to work through. So either way, whether you decide to stay together or not, it's so worthwhile doing therapy to grow the skills together that then you can apply in any future relationships and with your kids. Oh my goodness. Normally a lozenge helps. This time it's not at all. Okay. It looks like there's one more question. If anybody else has a question, just ask in the comments. All right, so this is a juicy question. My parent still today tries to take control in aspects of my life, my emotions. They're a narcissist. I want to cut her off, but her grandkids. So I'm in two minds whether I lower myself to her level by doing so. So I think there's a false idea that if you're choosing to go no contact, you're lowering yourself to their level. Actually, going no contact takes huge courage and a desire for health that is really essential in some families. So I want to share a little bit about my mum and the challenges that I had with her. Whatever I said, like about what my kids needed to eat, my son was a picky eater, and so he would go to their house and she would give him pizza. He didn't eat pizza. He doesn't eat cheese or tomato. And so he wouldn't eat. And then he would be cranky. And then she would get really angry because he wasn't listening. And so I said, well, what did you feed him? Because it sounds like he's just hungry. Well, he didn't want to eat pizza. But you know he doesn't eat pizza. Yes, but our daughter eats pizza. And she just loved my daughter and would give my daughter whatever she wanted. But didn't like my son, so didn't give him the food that he wanted. And so then she'd end up giving him Cocoa Pops, and he would be off the wall, and she'd lock him in a room upstairs. And it just was so toxic for my kids. And I saw a couple of therapists, I think 3 therapists about it. One therapist said she will never change. Another therapist said she is abusive and she will never change and it's best to go non-contact. And a third therapist said, you need to stay in touch for the sake of your children. But what I found is that my mum was putting my kids against me. And my kids are 50% of me. And if my mom is putting my kids against me, then it's also putting them against themselves because they're 50% of me. And so when my kids started coming home and saying things about me that she was saying about me, I knew it wasn't healthy for them. My daughter said I was pathetic and useless, and my mom had said that she deserved a much better mother than me. And then I just knew it wasn't healthy for my kids to be so against me because of what she was saying. And she liked my daughter and she didn't like my son. And it was making my daughter anxious that she had to always be sweet and nice. And it made my son feel like he wasn't lovable. And I just thought it's not healthy for them. So I decided to go no contact. I'm just trying to think of the timeline. Went no contact. And the following week, my daughter said she's not going to play with the mean kids anymore. She's going to go and play with the kind kids. And my son said to her, boy, I know that you are mean to people who play with me because you are jealous. But I don't want to play with a mean boy. You play with everybody kindly or I won't play with you. And that was a week after I said to my mom that I was walking away. And what was significant for me is I had been saying to both my kids, to my daughter especially, those girls you play with are mean to you. But my daughter was seeing me around my mom being mean to me, where my mom and her boyfriend would put me down and I would go, that feels really uncomfortable and I don't like that. And my mom would go, oh, go on, just be happy and nice. Why do you have to bring issues up? I'm like, I'm just pointing out that what you said was not very kind. Oh, it was just a joke, it's fine. And so that energy of that double bind where you're saying one thing but you've got daggers underneath was how she was. And so my daughter was playing with girls who were like that to her. And the moment that I said to my mum, I'm done now, my daughter said she was done playing with those toxic girls. And she chose the friends that were just beautiful and loving and honoring after that. And it really showed to me that when you are choosing to be around honoring for yourself, then it teaches your kids to honor themselves. So if a parent is not willing to get help and learn to be healthy, then it's not wise to have a relationship with them. My mom finally did go to therapy with a woman who worked specifically with adults who had abused their children in childhood. And so she got to understand the impact that she'd had. Then finally wrote me a letter saying, I understand you will never be successful and you'll never have friends because of how I treated you. And I just realized that she still saw me in such a terrible light, even though she'd gone through all this therapy. And I just knew things wouldn't change. Well, I tried to give her a bit of a chance, but then my grandmother was having her 90th birthday party, and I didn't have the cash. I was getting the cash on the Friday, and I asked my mom if I could use her credit card just for 2 days to pay for the flights for the three of us back to South Africa. And she said yes, and then she told my family that I was going to come, and my oldest brother, who had been such a bully to me in childhood, had said to her that if I ever mentioned to anybody what he had done to me, he would never speak to me again in his life. And I started having flashbacks about what he did. He used to hit my head against the wall. And I'd written a Facebook post about it, and people were like, I can't believe he did that to you. And so because of that, he said he would never see me or speak to me in his life again. And so my mum called me and said, oh, no, I'm sorry. If you go to the birthday party, then he won't come. And that would just be such a pity. It would be so unfair for him. And I said, but wouldn't it be unfair for me? And she's like, why are you just thinking about you? I'm like, why are you thinking just about him? She said, there's no need to be selfish. He won't get to say goodbye to her. And I said, well, nor would I. Do I not matter? And then I just said, I feel utterly furious. You're no longer my mother. I wish you a nice life. But if you can't parent both of us and you're going to pick one child over the other, then you're not a parent to me, and have a good life. And that was it. And so that really shifted for me. But it did take, she never felt that she needed to do therapy until I said, I'm not willing to go have any contact with you. And that was the only way that she could see her grandchildren. And then she moved back to South Africa. So she lives in South Africa and I live in the UK, so she doesn't see them anyway. So Tony said she's been offered therapy, but has always said it's my problem. So I've hit the point in my life that the change won't happen. I just need the strength to walk away to help me be stronger. She always sees everyone as the problem, and I refuse to be the scapegoat. At 31, I'm so proud of you. You are waking up to this earlier than I did. I did try many times to walk away, but she kept reeling me back with apologies and flowers and love bombing me. At that point, I didn't connect with all of that. And, there are pluses to going no contact and not. In going no contact, you have the freedom to create a life around those who love you and cherish you and care for you. The hardships in that is the deep loneliness of seeing people at Christmas. But it also is like every time Christmas comes round of just an assertion of, I want to be around people who love me. And you don't have like an external support. But for those of us who have abusive parents, we don't necessarily get that support. And on the other side, if we have to stay in contact, we get treated badly. And I just no longer want a life where I'm treated badly. And so I have gone no contact, and it's been 9 years or something. Is it 9 years? My son's just turned 17, and he was 8 at the time. So 9 years, 9 years. And it's just improved every single year. And for a while I thought, oh, maybe I will get in touch with her again, but that's really clear for me that I won't. Yesterday she sent an email to my son to wish him happy birthday, and he's like, I'm not responding. I don't want any relationship with somebody who loved my sister and not me in the same way. So he's really clear about that. So I hope that helps. It does take, it took me having a final thing where we were sitting around the table and her boyfriend said something really cruel and vindictive to me. And I said, why were you being vindictive? And my mom went, no, he's not. And I said, well, let's ask him, were you just being vindictive? And he said, yes, I was. And I said, well, I don't think that's healthy for my kids, and I don't want to be around that. That really hurts. And she said, oh, go on, don't be like that. Let's just be happy. I'm like, he's just been vindictive, and you're dismissing what I feel. Oh, don't make an issue and ruin Easter. Let's just be nice and happy. So I got up, I left the table, and I did what I teach everybody here. Go into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and talk to yourself. I empathized with myself, and I said, what he's doing is emotional abuse. What she is doing is emotional abuse. You don't deserve this. I let my kids finish their dinner, and I got in the car, and I started the car, and my son in the back of the car in his little car seat said, Mum, if I was you, I would never see them again. They're so rude to you. And I was like, I turned off the car, I whisked around in my chair, and I was like, what? What did you say? And he was like, I said, wait, you didn't do anything wrong. I just need to hear that again. What did you say? And he said, they're so rude to you. If I were you, I would never see them again. And I said, well, you think I can just do that? You think I can just never see them again? And my kid said, yes. You don't ever have to be around somebody that rude. So I got home and I called. And I think I sent an email. And I sent an email to the whole family, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, 30 people, and said, I'm done being the scapegoat. I'm done with the emotional abuse. I'm done with the secrecy. I'm done being part of this family. Goodbye. And I got an email from one aunt saying, sorry, you're still part of the family and we're not removing you from the family list. And I said, that's so not honoring. I got an email from my sister's husband who said, you should just be grateful for everything that happened. And I was just like, I'm done. And so that was it. That was 9 years ago. And it was the best thing for me. Sorry, the phone's ringing and it's probably just a spam call. So I just want to go here quickly and see. Okay, my mother remains in a relationship with a person that sexually abused me. She continues to deny it happened. I cut it off and we have no relationship. She called me out of the blue a few months ago during a time my sister wasn't well. We'd spoken 3 times in maybe 5 years. For the first time ever, I heard her tell me she loved me and always had. It made me feel comforted in some way. That's what little me had always wanted, but I was very clear love is about actions. And I asked her, okay, I'm just going to go into the group because I can't see the end of this. So let me just go and find the, oh dear. I can't see the rest of your post because it's not letting me see the comments to this. Just give me a second and I'll try and click on the video in the group. Go into the group because I can't see the... Oh, it's still not letting me see any comments. All right. So I will go and find your comment after this and then I will look at it. But, for your mum to deny what happened, there is love, that she has love for you as a daughter, but to not have your back and not to stand up and go, I know that my mother's father sexually abused me and many cousins. And when the cousins came out and said what he'd done, she's like, it's just a bit of touchy-feely. I don't know why anybody's upset by it. I really got the level of her dismissal and why I could never be honest about what he was doing, because she was just so dismissive. So I really, I feel for you, and I get that we so desperately want that love. And I have written a post somewhere, and I will post it to you, of what is a healthy response from a parent, which is, this is what I did. It wasn't okay. This is what you needed. This is the impact that I had on you. Like, your mother choosing to be with somebody who had sexually abused you is just not honoring, not protective. It totally denies what you felt. So you first have the sexual abuse, but then you have the emotional neglect of your mother, her lack of boundaries, her lack of protection. Often that is worse than the actual sexual abuse, because it's a complete betrayal of a mother's role. So I hear the desperation of this little girl inside that so wants a mother to cherish and care for you, and she is not. And so I think that my standards of what I expect from a mother are far higher now. And I can see that if I can overcome PTSD, suicidal, hallucinations, intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, everything, and still not beat my children, still be there to protect them, then I know that other people can do that for me. And if they're not willing to do that, then I don't want them in my life. So I've got a lot more clear about that. All right, I saw there was another post, a previous session about breathing techniques to help with chronic fatigue. So I'm going to show you quickly. You want to align where the gum is between your two front teeth and your two bottom teeth. So you want to look in a mirror and align those 2 points. Then you want to put your tongue behind your front teeth on the top palate. So you align these teeth, put your tongue on the top palate, and then you swallow. It's very hard to swallow when it's in this position. So you go like that. And if you just are normal and take a breath normally, you'll feel the level of oxygen going into your lungs. And then you do that, put the tongue on your palate, and then swallow, and then keep your teeth and your tongue in that same place, and then breathe. You'll find you have more expanse in your lungs. Who knows why it's like that? Who knows how this dentist found that? He's no longer practicing, sadly, so he's a lot older than me. And I saw him like 17 years ago, but it helped me overcome chronic fatigue. And then every morning, and if I could during the day, and every night before I went to bed, lying flat on my back. So he taught it to us. He had a special room where there was a flat bed. And we would lie there, and then we would do our teeth, the tongue, swallow. And when you start, you can breathe in for 5, hold for 5, breathe out for 5. You want to breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose, but you mustn't breathe in through your mouth. So for a lot of folk with chronic fatigue, you might find that you are breathing in through your mouth. Because I've got a cold, I'm breathing in a lot through my mouth, and I can feel my mouth is drying out, and I know it's so not good for me, and there's nothing I can do about it because I'm sick. So when you start off, you can try a 5 breath in, 5 hold, 5 breath out, 5 hold. And then increase it until you're doing 10 in, 10 hold, 10 out, 10 hold. And that's it. And do it 10 times in the morning and 10 times in the evening. So, Pat, my mission is to make a difference. So thanks for acknowledging that. I so want to make a difference because I know what a rough journey it is. And I've tried countless therapies and really struggled because not everybody has gone through the same and they don't understand it. So I just want to quickly share with you. I'm going to find the the link to it. Okay, I'm going to just share with you. So for all of those who if you want to be able to see where your question is, have I done the right thing? If you want to be able to see where your question is, you can come to, where is it? There. You can come to the Tame the Triggers. So say we did things on breathing here. You go to the top of the hub and you click in breathing, and it will show you every time that I've said breathe 54 times. Clearly, breathing is important. And you can see, like it's in the Q&A, twice. And you can click on that, and you can see where I've said it. Hi everybody, it's Zariya here. And you can go to that point, or it might be anger, for example, that you asked a question on anger. You can see that I've answered questions on anger. So all of you who have signed up to the workshop, you've got until the 15th to be able to go through. So any questions that you have, you can check it out and go through that. So it might be that you want to see every time that I've spoken about PTSD, and you can look at it like I spoke about it quite a lot in the Q&A. You can click on that, and you can see. Check my voice. It's so. And you can see where I mentioned it. You can click on those places, and it will take you to the point that thing is mentioned. So check that out for the next week. Everybody has access to that. I know it's such a handy search bar. So it's really worth checking that out. And I want each of you to know this. You're looking for one next step. So I've done 5 warm-up videos and 5 lessons. And you want to see what your one next step is. I don't want you getting overwhelmed and stressed that there are all these different things, and you want to find your one next step that you're going to practice. And for those of you who choose to continue the journey with us in the Overcome Emotional Abuse program, this is a chant that I say again and again throughout the whole program. You're looking for one next step to practice. If you're doing too many things, you get overwhelmed. So pick one of the lessons or one of the insights or tools that is going to make a difference to you, that you know this is the thing that you need to work on. So for example, if it's empathy, in the first week of the Overcome Emotional Abuse program, we have like 2 screenshots for you of words to say for empathy that you can to respond to yourself, so you can practice empathy words or healthy responses to yourself so that you feel connected with yourself. So you just choose one thing at a time from this workshop if you're not joining us, and practice that again and again. Take notes on it and work on it so that you are meeting yourself and loving yourself. One step at a time. You know, you think when you are crawling as a child, you don't suddenly get up and start running. When you're crawling, the next step is learning to stand before you can walk. So that's the same in healing emotionally. You're just learning your next one step, and we don't want you overwhelmed. I'm giving you a buffet of things because everybody is at a different stage, but each of these we love into ourselves in different ways. And I want each of you to love you and cherish you and give yourself the love and the love skills that you needed that you didn't get in childhood, because you so deserve goodness and care and love. Tonight we're going to be recording the final Tame the Triggers workshop. If you are not in the workshop, click the link above to sign up. If you are, you've already signed up in the workshop, we will see you later, and I'll be recording it then. It's been such a pleasure to be able to serve you today. I'm going to go and give my voice some more tea, and I'm sending each one of you love and care and goodness. And I hope to see you later tonight. It will be 8 o'clock that I will be going live, and then I will be doing the VIP coaching straight after that, for those of you who are joining for that, and I'll send a link out to that later. Same link that we've had all week. All right, I'm sending each one of you love. Thanks for coming and joining me, and I'll see you in the group. Love to you.